Hey guys, I'm Audrey, the owner of Piping Hot Artworks, where we turn the ordinary into the extraordinary. And today, I'm going to be showing you guys how we distress wood. That's right, you can take a brand new piece of wood and make it look really old, weathered, and rustic. And I'm going to show you how. Stick around. Okay, so I'm going to show you the steps that we follow generally to distress wood. The first one being is you have to actually pick out a level piece of wood. I've got a great video on this. I will link it in the tutorial, how to pick the perfect piece of wood. So look for it below. If you're an average individual like myself, you probably misplaced your chainsaw or you don't own one. So you may want to buy a piece of wood. And I happen to love the smell of lumber, so this is my own slice of heaven. We like to use pine wood because it's a little bit more pliable and soft, so you can easily distress it. Okay, so in step 2, you're actually going to be cutting your wood down to size. And I apologize in advance. I've always wanted to do this, so I could not resist showing a video of this. If anybody actually does cut wood this way, please put it in the comments, because I'd be interested to know how the heck you can be accurate. Okay, so some quick disclaimers. My dad always taught me that you should always measure twice and cut once, so make sure that you're doing that. Also, you don't see this in the background, but we are using safety equipment when we are cutting. So you're going to want to use goggles, you're going to want to protect yourself. Oftentimes you can use a respirator mask too, because there's a lot of sawdust that will come up. So keep that in mind when you are cutting wood. I want to point out that all of the hardware stores usually have cutting stations available, and their employees will actually help you cut your pieces down to size. So if you don't have a table saw or you live in an apartment, don't freak out. You can always get your project done by asking for help. The next step we're doing is step 3, and we're going to use a wire brush in either a drill or a grinder or a Dremel tool. There's multiple ways to do this. So we're using a lathe here with a cone-shaped head to it, or bit, and we always do the sides of the boards first. You want to kind of rough it up so it doesn't look like it's a regular piece of lumber. When it comes to distressing wood, the levels are uneven, so you're going to want to kind of do a zigzag back and forth on the edges, skip a few places, then do it again. That way you're creating a more realistic, kind of wavy, weathered look. Obviously I sped this clip up, so don't think that it happens that fast. Next you're going to switch to, we use a steel brush like this. Something to keep in mind though is you definitely want to use safety equipment such as gloves and glasses, because the steel pieces from the brush may fly up at you. It doesn't hurt unless it lands in your eye, obviously, which is why you want to use safety gear. Now, we usually start by running the brush along the board in different angles. You don't always want to go with the grain. You can kind of do swivel motions or like an angle. The more pressure you apply the wood to the brush, the deeper the grooves will be. So keep that in mind. You want to kind of vary it up, do some lighter, some darker, and don't forget to do the same thing to your edges and your corners. We also use this brush to kind of clean up some of the outside pieces, or I should say the outside corners. Step 4, you're basically going to hit your piece of wood with anything. Usually it's got to be made out of metal for it to really make an impact, but feel free to experiment. We like to use hammers, and we have one that has both a rounded side and kind of a squarish side. So depending on how you hit the board, the angle that you bring the hammer down, it's going to create a different groove. the harder you hit the wood with the hammer, the deeper the indent will be. You can also take something like screws and go ahead and lightly hammer them in. Remember that pine wood is super pliable, so you don't have to apply much pressure. You can even use your fingernail in some cases and create little dents or grooves. So we did a couple different options to kind of give you an idea of things that you can use and the impact that they may have. So like I said, we're sticking with metal objects. Anything that kind of has a geometric shape I always think is cool, but it may not be realistic when you're trying to create a super weathered look. But one here and there I think is a great idea. And I love the way that screws look. Go ahead and use screws in different sizes too, because you'll get a different effect. In step 5, we're going to be torching those babies up. Now I'm showing you both how to use it with a heat gun and how to use it with a blowtorch. I will warn you that using a heat gun is super slow. Maybe a little bit safer and more accessible, but you can pick up a $15 heat gun at any Ace Hardware or Lowe's for the most part. It takes a really long time. So anticipate that it'll take a while, and you're going to want to put the gun close to the wood so that it'll actually start burning. Okay, keep in mind whether you're using a heat gun or a torch, you want to be safe about it. So we always have a bucket of water. It's in the background just in case something goes wrong and the board starts flaming too high. You can also get little ash and I don't want to say a singed part, but it can fly back up at you. So make sure that you're using gloves because it does get heat. Be mindful of how you're torching it, meaning what you're putting it on or resting it on. We have a tarp on our table, and obviously it's going to melt the tarp if we're not holding it upright. In step 6, all you have to do is lightly sand it, and we're just trying to get those rough pieces or sharp edges off of the boards. So I sped this up. You can use a medium grit, a thick grit, or a lightly sanded grit.
Okay, our distressed wood is complete. So now you guys have an idea of what we do here at Piping Hot Artworks. Obviously, you can accomplish this look a multitude of ways. So if you have distressed your own wood in another way, I'd love to hear about it in the comments, and I'm sure everybody else would too. So make sure you're putting your comments below, and please subscribe to our channel, ring the bell so you get notified every time we post a video, which is every Tuesday. And I really appreciate your time today. I hope you guys have a great day. We really appreciate you guys tuning in. I hope you subscribe to our channel for more fun DIY projects. Thanks a lot. Have a good one.